You're welcome to my YouTube channel. In one of my videos, I responded to the question someone asked me concerning tithes. He asked if not paying his tithe can stop him from going to heaven, and in that video, I quoted the book of Matthew chapter 23 verse 23. That says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cunning, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. This ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone." For those who misunderstood me, because some people reacted negatively to them, they thought that I was against the payment of tithes. No, it wasn't to condemn tithes. I equally pay tithes. Tithes is a commandment from God. It's not a bad thing to pay tithe, but some people have been deceived that without paying of tithes, that you cannot go to heaven. Some people don't help others. They only believe that payment of tithe is the most important. So that is why I'm coming up with this video. I want us to know that in the Bible, there are 3 types of tithes that are recorded. So please watch this video to the end so that you will know what the scripture is saying about tithes, and you will know details so that you will not be deceived anymore. The first type of tithes we have was for the Levites and the Aaronic priesthood. The second type of tithe we have was for national religious festival. Then the last tithe, the third tithe, was for the poor. Tithe for the poor. Now let's start with the first tithe, which is the tithe for the support of the Levites and Aaronic priesthood. We're going to see what the Bible says. Let's open to the book of Numbers chapter 18 verse 21 to 24, and I read, "And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come near the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. But the tithe of the children of Israel, which they offer as an eave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance." You can see the Bible verses we just read explain to us that the Levites among the tribes of the Israelites were the only ones permitted to receive tithes. Their tribes were not to partake in inheriting anything. They were to receive tithes as their own inheritance, and this was a status, a covenant that God keeps with them that was to remain forever. He said it was a status that was to remain forever. So that is the first tithe. We are going to look at the second tithe as recorded in the Bible also. The second type of tithe was for the national religious festival, and this tithe was to be eaten by all. And it was God that assigned the place that they are going to gather to glorify himself, to manifest his name there. So we are going to read in the Bible the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 22 to where I will stop. It says, "Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, of thy oil, and the firstling of thy herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always." God chooses a place to place his name there, to manifest himself. So the children of Israel were to go there the place that God will command them to go and eat their tithe. And that tithe was meant for everybody. It was not for the Levite alone. Remember, the first one was only for the Levite, for their priesthood, the Aaronic priesthood. The second one was meant for everybody. And if you read further from verse 24, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there. He said, what will happen when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee? He said, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind the money in thy hands, and shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusted after, for oxen, for sheep, for wine, or for strong drinks, or for whatever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household. And the Levite that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. You can see that place. The only option when you can convert your crops to money was if the distance is too far. And that Bible portion we just read specified something at the last verse we just read. And the Levite that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he had no part nor inheritance with thee. So in everything, the Levite were not to be exempted, because they have no inheritance. Their inheritance was in the tabernacle. That was what that place was talking about. So we're going to look at the third types of tithe. The third type of tithe, as we're talking about, was meant for the poor, which the Levites were equally included, because they have no inheritance. Don't forget, in all the tithe, the three types of tithe, the Levites were not exempted in anyone. So let's read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14. We are going to read from verse 28 and 29. Let's read. And at the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of their increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gate. And the Levite, because he had no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow which are within thy gate, shall come, and shall eat, and shall be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the works of thy hand which thou doest. This tithe was meant to take place every 3 years. He said, you will bring your fruit, your crops, everything, you bring it. The Levites, the strangers, the poor, the helpless were the ones that will come to your house to marry. So the question now is that how many of us have been given to the poor? So that is where my concentration comes on. And I was using the book of Matthew 23 verse 23. I was trying to let us know what Jesus Christ considered as the weightier matters, not paying of the tithe, because the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the scribes, they believe so much in the commandment of Moses. They believe that they have fulfilled all the law. So paying of tithe was their major concern. They forget to show love. They forget to show compassion. They forget to show mercy to the poor. That was why Jesus Christ made mention of that word. He said, hey, you are paying tithe of mint and corn, and leave the weightier matter, which is love. This is where the love comes in. See, you have to give to the poor, not only going to church to give 1 million as a tithe. Then you cannot sow a seed to the lives of the poor around you. The Bible let us to know that we need to share our substance, the blessing God bless us with, the poor and the needy, the widows around us. Jesus Christ said, for I was hungry and you fed me. And you say, where did I see you to feed? You say, what you did to the least of my brethren, you've done it to me. So whatever we are doing in life, we should know that the major thing God expects from us is to show love to our brothers. He said, love your brother as yourself. Show the same love that you would have expected from someone else. Show that same love to your brother around you. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy with God and what God has given to you. You see churches, they no longer preach love. They no longer tell people about this other two parts of tithe I've just discussed. The only thing they do is that if you don't give to God, you have robbed God. You have robbed God. You make people who do not have see themselves as not being righteous. It's unfair. We should not concentrate too much on how much we give as tithes. Rather, it should concentrate on what are you investing in the life of others. Are you the one that opens your gates for the poor and the helpless, the widows? Or when you see the poor coming to your house, you close the gates and you are going to pay a tithe of 1 million in your church? I am not condemning the payment of tithe, but I want us to know that throughout the ministry of Jesus Christ, there was no place Jesus said, come and sow a seed. His duty was always to provide for people. He goes about doing good. He never demanded anything. He went to a place and they had only few fish and bread, and he commanded the fishes and bread to multiply to reach the crowd so that everybody can have enough to eat. He never demanded anything in return. But today, so many churches are subjecting their members to giving to church alone. They are not teaching them how to give to the less privileged. The only thing they know is that you have to bring all you have to the house of God. The tithes you give to the less privileged, the poor, the needy. That was a tithe that the Bible let us to know. And the Lord thy God will bless thee in the works of thy hand, because you have given to the less privileged. So anytime you give to the less privileged, opens doors of blessing for you. Anytime you give to the helpless, you unlock your supernatural blessings. Anytime you give to those that are hungry, there is enough food stored for you. So don't let anybody just deceive you that you will be giving tithe and you cannot help the less privileged. What I am trying to emphasize now is that giving to the less privileged is the greatest, the weightier matter you can do, because throughout the ministry of Jesus Christ, he went about giving, healing. He never mentioned any place that you should bring a compensation. You should bring olive oil. You should come and sow a seed. You should pay tithes before your doors of blessings can be open. Anytime Jesus meets anybody, he only asks, what do you want me to do for you? You only seek to help. I said, I want to see. And he said, receive your sight. He never demanded anything.